Welcome to the Making of Me podcast, where we explore the defining moments that shape us ordinary people into who they have become. Today's guest is Mohamed Nabil, independent philosopher, author, and the creator of the Adobe AI AI debates and one publication. In 2008, Mohammed suffered a brain concussion, an event that would reshape the trajectory of his thinking in a way he couldn't have predicted. That injury became an unlikely catalyst for the intellectual journey that follows, that eventually led him to codify enlightening populism, radical new ideas about how humanity organizes itself and pursue truth, writing numerous books spanning philosophy and social justice, an advocate for radical new ideas. Mohammed, it's really a pleasure and honor having you on the show.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to join you here tonight.
Yeah, thank you so much. So, Mohammed, before 2008, who were you and what did your relationship with thinking, philosophy, and idea look like before the concussion?
Well, I don't remember anything before the concussion because I had severe memory loss. So I don't remember what happened before the concussion. But the concussion happened in 2008. I was roughly 18 years old, and I had memory loss. I had my brain was well developed, yet I had the general knowledge of a child, a little less than general knowledge of a child. So I had to re-educate myself about everything. I had to read too much into. So in mass communication, there is a theory called selectivity theory. You have selective exposure, selective attention, and then selective retention. So I selected what I need to learn about. Mainly was politics, philosophy, economics, psychology, sociology, stuff like that. And then I selected what to pay attention to and what to remember over time. So mainly what drew me deeply was philosophy.
Yeah, wow, that was really a whole lot. Having to lose all the whole of memories and having to learn everything again. It just shows the resilience of trying to become again and reading a whole lot and doing a whole lot of stuff. So can you take us back to the actual event, the concussion itself? What did you remember about that particular moment and immediately aftermath?
No, I don't remember anything about the particular moment. It was a car accident. It was narrated to me. The doctors, the specialists said I'm not going to remember the exact moment. So, and that's okay with me. I don't need that traumatic experience. So so I remember building myself afterwards. So I remember building myself in the aftermath.
Yeah.
So I remember, and over time I've reached this position where I'm at today, where I have this philosophical approach of mine based on three main pillars: AI DOP, as you mentioned, AI debates on one's publications, and Enlightened Populism as a behavioral pattern of communication, and the idea of establishing a global government to be ruled by hyper-local citizen assemblies. So these are the main philosophical points that I've reached over time, over the years since 2008.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. Also, what did recovering from that injury really look like? Was there any notable change on how your thought process during the particular process after the aftermatch?
I had problems remembering stuff over time. Over the years, I had problems remembering stuff even in the short run.
It became better with time, and it's really a whole lot. And many people who experience serious brain injury describe change in perception, priority, or cognitions afterward. What shifted in you specifically following the concussion?
I believe the main idea was had to do with the socialization process. So for a regular human being, you have to go through parenting and then schooling, and then you have to listen to the media, and then you have religious influences and stuff like that shape your own personality. How you interact with these agents of socialization is how you shape your own personality. For me, it was different. I had to rebuild myself. So I started when I was 18 years old already. My mind was well developed enough for me to understand how to act with these various agents of socialization on my own, how to develop my own character over time. So this is the main turning point in my life.
Yeah, amazing. 18, having to relearn everything again. And I'm just wondering how difficult it might be, and the fact that it's as though your whole life is starting at 18, and it's really a whole lot of and also was there a particular period of during your recovery where you first noticed how a new intensity or direction in your intellectual curiosity?
Started at, at the beginning. I started with intellectual curiosity. I searched for the stuff. Thankfully, I was 18 years old and the internet was there, so I could use search engines. LLMs were still not there, but we had search engines, so I could use search engines to search for whatever I need to know. And then I had the books in my own home. I had to go through all of them. Then I started buying books and borrowing books from friends and stuff like that to try to understand how the world is shaped around me based on my own interests. I rebuilt my own character based on my own interests in life. So this was amusing and
Yeah, amazing, amazing having to use the search button to actually get to learn and relearn a whole lot of other stuff. And also, how did this experience change your relationship with certain things, given how much of your later work, Enlightened, Populism, Adopt, seems to build around questioning and investigating rather than just accepting the easy answers?
yes, it has you caught a main thread here. The main idea of certainty. I don't have a monopoly on the truth. This is what I had to learn over the years, and no one else has a monopoly on the truth. So the best thing we can do is truth seeking, continuously seek the truth, and this can be done via questioning. We should always question our own opinions, attitudes, and beliefs, and this is what my philosophy was built on later. This state of uncertainty. When we all strive for consistency, we may find the consistency we are seeking within the boundaries of uncertainty. By embracing the fact that opinions, attitudes, and beliefs are changeable over time.
Yeah, belief and attitudes can change over time when you get to kind of subject them to questioning every now and then and having to kind of learn and relearn after that. Yeah, that's really amazing. Creating Adopt means inviting AI to criticize your own publisher, work publicly and transparently. Does that willingness to be challenged trace back to something Kokosha taught you about the fragility or fallibility of your own mind?
No, it has to do with the idea. So I believe ideas and books must be discussed over time. Instead of waiting for long years for people to read my books and then start online discussions or offline discussions around the ideas within them, I can start it right away with using an AI tool. I can start right away by asking it to take a position opposing to mine, asking it to criticize my own content, and then start a debate, and then publish the whole unedited debate within 24 hours of the exchange. This is about radical transparency and intellectual humility. So I believe that radical transparency is important if you are going to preach something to the public. If you're going to provide content to the public, then radical transparency becomes very important. And intellectual humility is something that I can connect with my own accident and my own concussion. Because I've learned that I'm not invincible. I can be hurt, and it can get pretty terrible over time. And as a human being, I did recover. Others didn't get the chance to recover. So it had to do with this or that. So AI debates on one's publications allows audiences to get into the thought lab. It allows them to follow the reasoning behind every conclusion instead of simply accepting or rejecting the conclusions.
Yeah, make them accept the conclusion other than just make them actually more like debate a whole lot about a whole lot of stuff. And I think it's really lovely. It's just being more like being subject to vulnerability and say, oh, I'll come up with these particular ideas and what are the loopholes, having to debate about it, having to make it clearer, owing to the fact that you engage it from a whole lot of stuff, rather than waiting for generations to come into being before it being review. It's really amazing, and I'm so glad with what you're doing. And also, you are writing extensively across philosophy, fictions, and social critique since this experience. What did, how has it been thus far? And what has it been? How has it been publishing and those particular deities?
I've enjoyed publishing works that relate to my own interests. So when I got into fiction, for instance, I wrote 2 novels out of 9 books. So when I got into fiction, I'm trying to translate the same ideas into fiction. I'm trying to convey the same set of ideas through a fictional scenario. When I get into a typical philosophical text, I'm trying to convey the messages directly to, to my audiences around the same set of ideas that I believe to be true. Most of my work has to do with spending cognitive effort to learn the truth, to seek the truth. So, enlightened populism is a behavioral pattern of communication that involves listening to multiple experts, trying to understand how they reach certain conclusions, and investigating the information to discover the truth. It contrasts with the two dominant behavioral patterns of communication in today's world: blind elitism, which entails blindly following an expert or an elite on a certain issue, and ignorant populism, which also involves the absence of investigation while relying on feelings or trends. So, enlightened populism involves listening to multiple experts, trying to understand how they reach certain conclusions, and investigating the information to discover the truth. You can simply realize that AI debates on one's publications or AI do the idea of ruling the world through hyper-local citizen assemblies instead of
Yeah, amazing. Enlightened publicity made purpose of the fact that you're having to take research, having to engage it with AI, having to kind of making enlightenment of publicity and actually more like encouraging a whole lot of different conversations all around towards enlightening the mind. And yeah, this is amazing. And also advocating for global governance and radical words, cap bold or conventional positions. Did that, how has it been able to kind of be able to push against the fear of pushback in moving forward with such ideas?
Well, I've had people agreeing and people disagreeing with me, but the idea that I know the idea is unorthodox.
Yeah.
But when people sit, relax, discuss the ideas, provide arguments and counter arguments, they get into the discussion and they realize we need to evolve into, as a global society, we need to evolve into unity. Instead of fighting each other, instead of competing with one another through various fragmented nation states, we can all pull our resources together. We can all work together and cooperate to build a better universe for all of us and replace the current corrupt representative democracies with direct democracies. We vote directly on issues instead of voting for someone to vote on our behalf.
Yeah, we vote ourselves rather than voting for someone to vote for us. And this is really amazing and a whole lot of engaging ideas that need to be looked into, debated, and think about it and think the particular truth is being gotten. And I love the fact that you're starting that conversation so that make us look deepward and see, which looking in respect of election, in respect of in respect of a whole lot of political offices here, like why this and that, and being able to question a whole lot of stuff. Then the whole truth is being brought out, and it's really amazing. I think. What is airdrop of, and what impact do you hope the radical transparency we have on publishing, education, and humanity?
So AIDUP, as you mentioned earlier, involves a content creator prompting an AI.
Mm.
it changes the dynamics between, it changes the relationship between the author and the reader, changes the idea of authorship. You now, instead of offering conclusions alone, you need to offer a set of arguments and counter arguments around these conclusions, so people can follow the reasoning. So you're asked to upgrade your own books and essays into livable text instead of close. And within education, there is a panic already within education regarding the use of AI, especially LLMs. Instead of banning everything, we can ask the students can be assigned, the tutors can assign students with assignments and ask them to end each assignment with an AI DUP session regarding the content of this assignment, and then handle a debate with their teammates accordingly. Within policy making, instead of having a simple bill or a proposal for a new policy, you have the new bill, and you have with it, along with the proposal, you have an extensive. Within humanities and social sciences, the humanities and social sciences can evolve by if people within these fields start adopting AIDUP with the same sense like other fields would evolve.
Yeah, this is really amazing. Being that now when you're coming up with policy or various write-up, you are like thinking. I think with the AI adoption, it just speaks volumes to the fact that you could see 3 to 4 steps ahead of what could be done differently, owing to the arguments that already spur up and owing to the debates you already saw in the imagine more like bringing up policies. And with the engagement of the AI, the adopt, it make it easy for you to see, oh, I never saw that particular gray area. I never saw this particular gray area owing to the argument has not come into being, but having to engage it with it, make you more like know what the consequence of the other policy is going to be, the benefit and a whole lot of other stuff underneath it. And it strengthens policy if it goes right. And if it doesn't, it make you be able to kind of take it down to the boardroom and being able to debate it very well in the execution. And I think this is really amazing and very lovely way for saying things and making better decisions. So what is the difference between the blind elitisms, ignorant populism, and the enlightened populism you advocate for instead?
And blind elitism entails blindly following an expert or an elite or a certain issue. Blindly followed experts who said that the Paris Agreement was awesome, and many ignorant populists followed trends or feelings online that said that climate change wasn't real, it was a hoax and stuff like that. When in fact, if you practice enlightenment populism, you'll get back to the text of the main agreement itself. You realize that the main agreement, the Paris Agreement, acknowledges that we should do something about it, but it does nothing about it. So as a matter of fact, it's almost we need to move much better toward facing climate change. And in my own view, we need a global government, a global structure, so we can combat climate change. This is one of the main reasons why we need a global government.
Yeah, blind populism speak volumes to the fact that people just following a particular ideas without even knowing much about it, and the ignorance come from the feelings and emotion getting to interfere with what they need to look like. And the enlightened populism, which should be key, is towards more like examining the facts, examining the more like a whole of other different things to make correct decision not being swayed by just emotion or blindly follow a particular rules. That doesn't do us a common good. Yeah, this is amazing way of looking at it. So who decide whether someone is qualified as an enlightened populism, and how do you address the challenge of that subjectivity?
It's a behavioral pattern of communication. So you decide on your own whether you're practicing enlightened populism or not. It's a matter of self-assessment, and between you and yourself, you kind of know the truth. You kind of know whether you've investigated properly into an issue or not. Whether I start publishing my own opinion on it, and then I get into a debate with an AI tool on my own publication to further ensure that I've reached some sort of an opinion that is closer to the truth. This is so I believe we need to use all of the tools available to reach a point closest to the truth as possible.
Yeah, having to look inward and examine ourselves with all the tools available to be so that we're able to kind of give credence, and if need be, who could actually get to rework ourselves towards becoming the enlightening of populism. Yeah, this is really amazing. And also, why do you believe a single global government ruled by citizen assembly is necessity rather than just simply an idea?
Well, we have the main issues we have today are climate change, extreme wealth inequality represented by billionaires' greed, and hundreds of millions of people living below poverty line around the world, and potentially recurring pandemics. For these three issues, you need to face them with a global structure. For instance, the current model of the Paris Agreement, back to the Paris Agreement and climate change, the current model of the Paris Agreement relies on individual states to determine their own. We need a global government to help do that, to help get that right. So this is a point. Another point has to do with extreme wealth inequality and inequality of wealth distribution and extreme wealth of a few billionaires having most of the resources around the world.
Yeah.
We need to tax them out of existence and introduce basic human rights such as shelter, access to clean water and food, education, healthcare, freedom of expression, freedom of movement, and speedy, stable internet connections. You cannot possibly tax billionaires out of existence without having a global structure, a global government, because the current nation states compete to have these billionaires, compete to have favors from these billionaires. The politicians are corrupt and they are bought by these billionaires, and they have tax havens around the world, places where they can hide their money from taxation. Yeah. So, in order to tax them out of existence as proposed, you need a global government, a global structure, one unified structure. So, we can address the root causes of pandemics, but that would be a longer discussion. But the root causes of pandemics require a global movement, a global structure as well to be combated efficiently.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much. So, lastly, why do you believe in direct democracy specifically as opposed to representative system most of the world currently use?
Well, I believe spreading enlightened populism is a prerequisite for the establishment of the global government, along with its citizen assemblies. Yet, I believe we can rely on citizen assemblies. We're not toddlers. We don't need to vote for someone to vote on our behalf. We can take matters into our own hands as people of the world. We can acknowledge our own benefit and seek our own benefits across various topics and vote on the issues directly using our own brains instead of relying on someone else who might be corrupt and in our current case is definitely corrupt, to vote on our behalf.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much, Mohammed. This has really been an amazing conversation. And thank you for sharing your heart with us on the Making of Me podcast. So from all things, we would love to kind of get your book or follow you up and on how to use the tools too, and to connect with you on various platforms. How can they reach out and where is the best platform?
Well, my books are published on Amazon and Google Play. People can reach out through my website, mohamednabil.world, MohamedNabil.world. It would be
Yeah, so definitely from our audience, we would love to reach out. Check the show notes. You'll see the link to easily reach out. So, Mohammed, before we go, I'll talk about your book and what you expect that my audience is going to gain from it when they pick it up.
I have 9 books, so this might be an extremely long conversation. But I'll tell you about the last book. The last book is called Truth is Sexy. It answers 2 main questions. What's sexy about uncovering truths, and how to make truth-seeking appealing for future generations. So this is the main challenge, enabling enlightened populism across societies. I believe this is the answers of these 2 questions would be the most valuable, and it's related to the idea of establishing a global government and enabling enlightened populism. It has an AIDUP section at the end of the book.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mohammed. I thank you for tracing such an ambitious, bold, and philosophical work back to a single unexpected injuries, for showing us what it looked like to turn a moment of physical vulnerability into a lifetime devoted to questioning transparency and truth, for radical new ways of organizing our human society. I prove that our body is the most fragile moment, can open the door to our clearest thinking. It's really a pleasure and honor having you on the show, Mohammed.